Whoa, 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 whoa. What are you doing? We haven't even started preparation. You want to go right out here to grilling? No, 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 no. Let's wind this up 24 hours and let's start this right. Let's go through the preparation like the proper way to do it. We just can't go to grill. We just brought you back in the kitchen for preparation because we can't start anything without having good prep time. Right here, what I've got is some spare ribs. And usually spare ribs is a little tougher part of the meat when you cut into the pig. But the best thing about spare ribs is that it is the barbecue master's best friend. Slow cook time, very tender. So that's why we're going with spare ribs other than baby back ribs. Because baby back ribs, it really doesn't matter. If you put those on, they're so nice and tender anyways. Anybody could do it. But since we're trying to tell you how to actually do this, we're going to start off with the toughest. You'll notice there's a nice little membrane that's right here. We usually detach that from that. It's a little thick piece of skin. Usually you don't want to keep that on because of the fact is that it's really tough when you're eating. So we're going to take our knife, we're going to go through and we're going to cut the membrane off. And as I go through, you'll notice that there's nice little chunks of it that goes. So as we're cutting through, you can see good little pieces of it that's coming off. You cook this slow, but if you cook this at a nice temperature, this is going to come off. It's going to be great. And right here, you notice on the table, I've got a couple of things like my rubs right here. Now, the first thing that I normally do before I actually start putting anything to fire is I want to make sure it's seasoned and it's prepped well. Again, we're going back to that word prep because it's the most important thing in the pitmaster's arsenal. You have to be prepped, ready to go. So I start off with a little thing called Johnny's seasoning salt. Now there's some other competitors out there, but I've noticed that Johnny's is the best. Has a great seasoned blend. It makes your meat come out in the flavors. So I would actually say Johnny's is my preferred seasoning salt. There's a couple of competitors out there. We won't mention them, but Johnny's is the best. Over here, you also notice that there's a little bit of some spices all in here. We've got a little bit of right here in the back to kind of show you what it is. Got a little bit of the black pepper that's in there, very important to seasoning as well. Got some garlic salt. We got some cayenne pepper because we definitely have to go with cayenne. You definitely want to have it give a little extra kick when you're biting into that meat. And then we've got some onion powder, paprika. You probably heard that 1,000 times in every other pitmaster situation. Paprika is the thing that's going to save you the most. There's a couple other things in there I can't really give you right now because we're going to have to work down the future on it. So if I give out all my secrets in our first episode, I'll kind of cut myself short. So I'm going to take my fingers, run it through, mix it all together, and it's okay to use your fingers in it. Go through and just like I said, we want to mix it and make sure it's all evenly tossed. And that's the thing about it. Sometimes your hands is the best thing to do when you go through this. So as I'm sitting over here, you might wonder what's that thing in the back over there. Well, this is one of those little secrets that I will give you today. This in this container is brown sugar. Now, brown sugar, when you apply it onto the ribs, gives a nice caramelization. It actually makes in and cooks into the meat very well. And the reason why it gets a little sweet. So when you got a little bit of a heat on it, you got a little sweet on it. And that's before you even put the sauce on. So if you can get your people to say, hey, let me have a piece off the grill, because somebody always going to ask for a piece off the grill. If they can bite into that rib before you put the sauce on, and they can actually say, man, that's a good tasting rib, your spice rub has done the thing, and it's working to the best proper way. So we're going to lightly apply Johnny's on. I'm going to take my actual rub, take it through, and the reason why they actually call this rub, well, obviously, because we're rubbing it into the actual meat itself. That's what's going to give it this extra coating of flavor that we're going to have. Now I'm starting to take brown sugar because, like I said again, I want a little spice, but I want a little sweet with it too. So I'm applying that right back onto the ribs itself and everything. Rub it on top of the actual rub that's there. This is going to add an extra little sweetness to it. And you'll see. Now this is this is my recipe. I'm sure there's 100,000 recipes out there. Every time I go on the internet, I know there is. But this one works best for me. This is one that more people keep coming back for more. Again, like I said, I'm applying it in, but I'm rubbing it in. So it's like, I would say it's not like a good massage, but, we're going to try to rub it into the meat as well. Try to get it in there so we can actually feel that going. Then what we're going to do is we're going to do a little flip over. And again, we're going to apply the same thing. The rub is actually kind of applied to it right now. Now we're going to start the liquid portion of this. Within every great pack of ribs, there's always some form of a liquid smoke or something else put onto it. And that's what we're getting ready to apply. And just my little secret. So I'm gonna grab a tray right over here. Gonna put it in, and we're gonna take these ribs and we're gonna add them to an actual tray. You can see this is a nice good set. Take that out of the way. Get that going. Now that we've got it in its own separate container where it won't spill and splash over the counter, we're gonna take some liquid smoke actually, and we're gonna apply that to the actual ribs. What I want to do is get that right in there to get that nice smell that we can get already from the beginning. A lot of people say they don't use liquid smoke, and that's true. Some people don't actually. Some people apply the hickory sticks. It's either or. If you apply the hickory sticks, which I do both of, I want you to get that deep smoke flavor into the ribs. Because these are my traditional ribs. But yours, you can do it anyway. You can do it without liquid smoke. You can do it with liquid smoke. You can do it with hickory chips. You can do it with mesquite chips. Whatever is your preference. I'm just showing you my technique. So we're going to flip these over. Now we got the smoke on it. And again, we're going to apply some smoke to the other side of it on top of the rub. I want to make sure you got a nice little portion in there. I can smell it already. It's like not even having a grill in here. And then what I normally do is I take a little bit of a lemon. Reason being is that a lemon, it actually puts a little acid, breaks down some of the fat, loosens the meat up a little bit. I'm going to take that in there, apply that over to the ribs. And like I said again, this is just my recipe. You don't actually have to use it, but I can tell you everybody that's had it has always said it's the best they've ever had. I'm not boasting about that. I just get that many compliments. Take this over, and again, I'm going to put a little bit of lemon onto it, get all that nice little acid. And like I said, it's a good way of actually having it done. And then last but not least, my little secret is what I normally do, even though we applied the liquid smoke, even though I put the lemon on it, I want something else to break up the meat as well. Now, most chefs use alcohol. Why should I change? I'm actually using the former brandy that I actually like. You go to the store, you can use anything. I've heard some people use, gin or vodka or anything else like that, but I always find out that brandy does a nice job. You don't need a lot now, Brandy is like, so you don't want people, DUIing after they ate your ribs. That's the funny thing about it. So I want to make sure it just sits in there. Flip it over again. Notice we do everything in a bunch of repetitive motions, but like in all things, that's the only way you can do it good, is you have to repeat it. So again, we're going to put a little bit on there. And normally what I would do at this point, let it sit for 24 hours. You want all those juices, all that alcohol, all the lemons, everything goes right into it. You want it all to sit. You want it all to just get right down to the deep root of those bones and make those ribs the tender and best flavor tasting you've ever had. So that's what we're going to do. Wrap this with tinfoil. I'll throw it into the refrigerator, and we'll start on something else.